Hey guys, Sausage here. Developed by Catnip Lab, PizzaPanic was released onto Steam on December 2nd, 2024. PizzaPanic is a 1 to 4 player pizza delivery game where you play as a customizable robot and your job is to deliver pizza as quickly and efficiently as possible. Before we get started with the review, I want to preface this by saying I received this product for free. To be clear, the developer sent me a free Steam key. I did not purchase this game. With that out of the way, let's start the review. The first thing you'll notice right off the bat is how beautiful the graphics look, and that's because PizzaPanic was made in Unreal Engine. That said, the game could potentially push your computer a little hard. I built my current PC back in 2021, and now it's probably what would be considered a budget build. My PC could handle this game running on max settings, except when I was trying to stream it, in which my stream lagged incredibly hard. If you don't plan to stream it and have a halfway decent build, you shouldn't have any problems. If you do plan to stream it, just know that you might be in for a bit of a challenge. With that said, PizzaPanic really does look incredible graphically. Moving on from the graphics to the art style, I can only assume the developers took inspiration from both the modern Chuck E. Cheese and Italy for this game. I haven't been to Italy, but the game has pizzas, it's near the ocean, and all of the little mice are driving Fiats, so come on. The only problem is that while everything looks great, it feels like many assets were copy and pasted and nothing feels unique. There are different maps, Ferentino, Pagaro, if I said that right, and Portobello, which, that's kind of funny. To an experienced eye, such as the developer, these areas might look obvious and recognizable, but to a new player, there are no designs or landmarks for them to recognize or help build a map in their head. Some areas are different, of course, because a hilltop looks different from a beach or a bay, but in general, the roads all look and feel the same. Some areas do have some unique assets in them, but overall, trying to mentally differentiate the map is quite a challenge. It isn't the art style itself that's not unique, because it is, and it does look great, but there isn't any variety to the art. I want to make a quick amendment to what I've said about the art. As I was replaying this game for some extra footage I forgot to grab, I took care to really study the models and assets as I played. There is some variety, but I suppose what I'm saying is that with how fast the player zips and zooms across the map, it's really difficult to take time to appreciate the art, let alone study it in an attempt to really learn where you are. Next is the soundtrack, which sounds terrific and quite unique. The entire game sounds like it is set on an island and incredibly chill, except when you need to deliver pizzas. The moment you grab a delivery, the soundtrack instantly changes into something a little more upbeat and energetic. There's even a trumpet that is clear as day, and the trumpet makes itself quite obvious as it is in your face and telling you to hurry up. Once you finish your deliveries, the music goes back to normal with the chill island music. As you continue to make more and more deliveries though, the tempo of the music becomes faster and faster to the point where you're on your 12th delivery and it feels as if the tempo is doubled as you're frantically flying across the island trying to get your deliveries made. While I enjoyed the music, my small complaint is that it's the same 3 or so songs on repeat the entire time. I didn't dislike the music by any means, I just wish there was slightly more variety, such as night and day having slightly different renditions, or different islands having different songs. The meat and potatoes of this game is the gameplay. It feels like a love letter to Crazy Taxi with a healthy splash of Mario Kart for good measure. In total, there are 9 different game modes ranging from free play where all you do is make deliveries, treasure hunt where the first person to find a certain amount of treasures hidden around the island wins, or even battle where one player has a pizza and the rest must keep it away from all the other players, and whoever has the highest score at the end wins. On top of that, there are a total of 3 islands to play on as well. The first island is given to you, of course, and you are given a handful of missions to complete, which is basically a tutorial of the game. As you complete these missions, you'll unlock the second island and then the third. As for the splash of Mario Kart, there are certain abilities you can unlock such as jumping, flying, turbo, grinding on trolley rails, or even one ability that allows you to turn back time. One issue I ran into though was upgrading some perks too far. What I mean is that the streets are quite narrow and the models of not just your robot but also everything else is quite big. So, if you upgrade both your speed and your handling to its max, you'll be traveling extremely fast while also having your character become incredibly sensitive to the slightest adjustment, making it hard to travel down certain streets and alleyways. As for the multiplayer of this game, you can play with up to 3 other people, and you can set your game lobbies up as private or public if you decide you want to play with friends or if you want to invite randos in. Playing single player was enjoyable as it allowed me to learn the mechanics of everything, though I did have a friend join me in testing out the game, and it was fun zipping by him while we competed to see who could make the most deliveries and score the most points. Lastly, I want to talk about robot customization. While you can pick and choose what upgrades you want, you can also customize your robot cosmetically, and there are a lot of options to pick from. I ended up going with the rubber duck head, then painting my entire robot yellow because a Robo Duck 2000 just sounded cool. The UI is decent when it comes to its menu layouts, but when traversing through the menus or selecting certain options, the joysticks were incredibly sensitive to the point where I decided to use the D-pad to make my selections rather than the joystick. The developers also suggested to the player to use a controller rather than a mouse and keyboard for this game, and while I 100% agree, I do not understand why they developed a PC game to be so un-PC friendly. While navigating the menus, you must use the directional arrows near the number pad to move, while using the S key to make selections and the D key to go back. I have no idea why they chose to develop their game this way. Why not make the E key their select button, or space, or even the enter key? To go back, why not the escape key? Instead, they went with S and D, and it makes absolutely no sense. I will admit, I did not even try to play their game with a mouse and keyboard, because if their menu navigation was set up like that, I could only imagine what the gameplay was like. So I decided to immediately plug in a controller and not even deal with the mouse and keyboard. The price tag might be steep for some, as it is sitting at $12 US, but this is one of those games where you'll know if you like it or not based purely on the screenshots and videos of gameplay. That said, there are a handful of modes, 2 other islands to unlock, as well as plenty of skills to unlock and even more cosmetics. If you decided to unlock all of the islands, all of the skills, and all of the cosmetics, you will absolutely get your money's worth out of this game. But again, this is one of those games where I think you can tell if you'll like it or not just from the pictures and videos alone. With all of that said, I give this game a rating of 7.8 sausages out of 10. Graphically, the game looks incredible. The only slight setback you might have is that if your computer is weak or if you try streaming the game, you might need to dial back the graphics in the settings menu. The art style is great as it looks cartoonish and fun, it's just that the game doesn't have much variety in terms of assets. Once you play one round of PizzaPanic, you'll have pretty much seen everything. Like I said in my amendment earlier, you just play the game so quickly, it's hard to both appreciate the art as well as learn the map, so everything just feels too similar. The soundtrack is great as it is calm island music until you grab a delivery, then it becomes fast and upbeat in an attempt to get you energized. Unfortunately, there are only about 3 tracks the game juggles. The gameplay is solid as it feels like it took inspiration from Crazy Taxi and Mario Kart. There are 9 different game modes to pick from, 3 islands, various skills and upgrades, single player and multiplayer, and robot customization. The only issue with the gameplay is that the roads are narrow while the models and assets are large, and it is possible to upgrade your speed and handling too high to the point where you're moving too fast and the slightest course correction with your joystick will have you going every which way. The UI is decent in menu layouts, but using the joystick to navigate was frustrating, not to mention, mouse and keyboard support seemed like it was a forgotten about afterthought, which is crazy as this game is, on PC. As for the price tag, it might seem a bit high, but it really just depends on if you're into this type of game. Again, I think this is one of those games where you'll know if it's your type of game just by checking out the gameplay. And that's my review of PizzaPanic. If you got this far, consider liking and subscribing, but if not, just know that I appreciate your viewership nonetheless. I also stream on Twitch occasionally, so consider following me on that platform as well. I'll leave a link to the Steam page and my Twitch channel in the description below. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut my review here. Mahoney out.